Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Carl Minger. This is Aaron Burns. We are WRME Live, Mustang, Oklahoma, August 5th, 2022. And this is episode 215.
I know, it's been a while.
Here, you do that because it ain't working for me. All right.
This
man,
is why
lots
they
of,
keep me around.
Yeah, that's right. Man, I tell you what, lots of stuff going on in real estate, like the country music song, the stock markets, or the interest rates up and the stock market's down. You only get mugged if you go downtown, right? I know the country songs. Man, is this world just crazy or what? Don't watch the news, man, I tell you, it'll make you goofy. And, I did see a study yesterday that historically, between 1971 and today, the average interest rate has been 7.71%. Okay, that's still 0.75% higher than what we're at right now. Now, people that have been, on the fence about buying a house or whatever, I don't know that we'll see 4% interest rates for a long time. Okay, if ever, and how much house you can buy at 4.25% versus 7.25% is huge.
Well, especially with the list prices. Like, if the list prices weren't, if houses stopped going 10, 20, 30,000 over, then that makes a difference too.
Right.
I mean, there's lots of things that factor into that, but interest rate is usually the biggest one. But when you add interest rate plus the inflation, then most people can't do anything.
Inflation, it's a lot more than what they said. I'll give you a good example. I'm every once in a while I buy those energy drinks. They're called Venom. Okay, it says 99 cents right on the can, but you can go any convenience store and they're $2. You tell me that isn't 100% inflation. That's just the way it is. Even though our housing market, new builds are coming to a screeching halt. We had, I think, like a 40-some% reduction in new building permits. Okay, but June 2022 versus June 2021 is still a 13.8% price increase. What kind of appreciation? That's just crazy.
Yeah.
Well, that's stuff we dreamed about, years ago. So, I don't know. It's crazy.
And that affects everybody, these inflations, because people are paying higher.
Right,
which
that's just it,
Taxes go up, homeowners insurance goes up because the value of your house is going up, and that affects people that aren't even buying. So it affects everyone, whether you buy or sell.
I've had agents before ask me why I run so many comps, because I tend to get stuck in a time warp. I think things are worth a certain amount. But if you go run comps on it, you're looking at the new data, and it keeps retraining my brain to not be stuck in the 80s.
That and the other thing, and people will be like, I'll run comps. I might ask Terry to run comps. I might ask you to run comps. And that's because I want to see it from what they think.
Yeah, I have a very different perspective than most agents.
Or what Terry does.
Because I do so many investor property comps. I'm looking a lot deeper than just a traditional regular comp most of the time. So when I speak about the numbers, I pretty much know what I'm talking about, I don't know.
Someone like me who's just been getting into the investor side of it, having someone around that knows those numbers and can share that information or run numbers with me and explain where those numbers come from is a huge deal, because then I'm better equipped to go answer a question for a client that's maybe in the position where they need to sell as is.
I consider what we do with comps is kind of like in diving. You have a dive buddy.
Yep.
For the safety factor. Okay.
Oh, speaking of.
So we have, kind of like comp buddies. We're like constantly bouncing stuff off of each other. That way, we're not in left field on a comp. When we're dealing
Right.
with a client, these are the numbers. This is what the world is telling us. Okay?
And just because, I'm going to go in a little rant here. Just because you interview 4 agents and 2 of them are way up here and one's in the middle and one's kind of on the lower side, doesn't mean the one on the lower side or in the middle is wrong. It doesn't mean the 2 high ones just because there was 2 at the same area are right either. Some agents will just tell you what you want to hear
What
to get
you
the
wanna hear.
listing.
I've got
So ask them questions. Where it came from. Ask them for comparables. Like,
Ask 'em.
what houses are they comparing it to?
put them on the spot.
Ask them for photos because we can go into those listings, whether they're closed, pending, or active, and pull up those listing photos for you. We should, or they should, whoever you're talking to should be able to explain where they're getting that number based on the current condition of your house versus the condition of those that's sold, pending, and are currently active.
Well, my neighbor listed their house at a ridiculous amount of money. It comps easily at 5 to 550, in that range. But their agent listed it for them for 650 because all the people coming from California and New York. Well, even people from California and New York are smart enough not to pay $100,000 over
Exactly.
on a property that is a fixer-upper, won't pass any inspections, all this other stuff. And so then they call me. Well, so what's your thoughts? I said, I told you what my thoughts are on it, and I also told you that I saw, and this was back in March. I said I see a market shift coming. I don't know when, but you need to be realistic on your pricing.
Right.
They went with the other agent because she priced it $100,000 over what I thought we could get for it, even with the Californians and the New Yorkers. Right. And now they've totally missed the market. Now I don't think they can get 550. Now they're probably going to be lucky to get 450 to 475, just because of the condition of the house, the property's dilapidated, just a whole lot of things. They missed their opportunity, but and I consider that negligence on that agent's part, okay? Because that agent wasn't looking out for their best interest. Mm-hmm. And if that agent was paying attention to the market or would go to their broker and say, hey, what do you think about this? We're going to list it $100,000 over the comps because of, California and New York. And the broker, if he's worth the salt at all, he's going to say, hey, dude, you got to look at the real world, what the real numbers are, and what's happening and what's coming.
That's a lot that considered, not just what the interest rate is. We look at days on market. We look at the ones that have sold, what condition they're in, how quickly they sold, if they're closed, was there any seller concession, anything like that. That's stuff we look at to determine this, because something might have sold quickly for over, but if you look, they might have got $10,000 of seller concession, which justifies that $10,000 over or whatever. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot we can see that determines that. And
no, one thing I did for this potential client was I ran, like I was taking them a buyer, I ran net sheets.
Yeah.
At the current rate, at that time it was 4.5%. And I ran one at 5.5% and 6%. And the amount of the payment was just staggering to me, the difference. And they want to know why I would even run those. I said, because I suspect the interest rates are going to go up. I was off a couple of months, but still, boy, have they went up. And they went up more than I thought they would.
And I've talked to a few people that were going to buy back when, and they're like, we can't compete with these numbers, because they're doing loans. And now they can't afford it because of the interest rate. So they're
we've got a record number of contract cancellations going on.
Yes.
Because people are, they either run out of their financing time.
Laptop's about to die.
About to die?
It is. I just got a warning.
We can't do that.
So if we just go away, that's why.
We're not meaning to, honestly. Well, we need to talk about Western Days. Western Days coming up.
We got 7 minutes.
7 minutes.
Of battery.
All right, we'll just yak for 7 minutes. Western Days coming up September,
Yes.
what, 10th, 11th, something like that?
Yes.
Yeah, second weekend in
I got
September.
so much in September. It's just.
You know, of course, we
mind-boggling.
sponsor the
So the wagons
wagon.
are actually on the 10th, and we serve
10th?
from 1 to 3.